Welcome to Truman's Town Hall with your host, Matt Truman.
Hello. This is Matt Truman. Thank you for downloading this episode. Thank you for sharing with a friend. Roughly March 2020, I knew we would now be living in a different time. We have experienced more collectively these past 9 months to shake our hopes for America than ever before in the history of our country. It began with COVID-19 when it was first discovered in China, government lockdowns, and draconian edicts installed across our country, police shootings like Breonna Taylor. I just said her name, and I have been, the same as I said Daniel Shaver's name. The Minneapolis police kneeling on George Floyd's neck, and the peaceful demonstrations that followed. The riots that sprung up over the summer in the guise of social justice also happened. Was the 2020 election rigged? To cap off an already volatile country and year, the Capitol of the United States was stormed by some Trump supporters, so-called patriots, and in my view, from video uploaded and media interviews, far left provocateurs. You may describe these events differently than me. You may stand on a different side than me. But know this. If you call America home, I stand with you as an American citizen, as a father, veteran, husband, and follower of Christ. The debate can happen. We can debate whose political party is better suited to lead. We can debate ideas that will best keep America on top. What we can't do is fall prey to divisive political agendas. I'm guilty as well. The agendas are coming at the people from all sides and from many sources. The politicians and media are all stirring up division to win power and wealth. Your power and wealth. There's a bias in everything we read, everything we watch, everything we listen to. It seems as though there's always someone making a case on why we should be angry at the other guy, why we should be disgusted at everyone who doesn't necessarily think like we do. The fact is, we have a lot more in common than we do uncommon. The power brokers know this. So that is what is always put in front of us to stew on and get angered over. While we do that, they're able to move the other pieces behind us and out of sight. Gender studies in Pakistan. Remember that? The stimulus checks. Have you gotten yours yet? Jeffrey Epstein. What happened to that story? And all those in power that was associated with him. What about homelessness, education, rising child abuse, and addiction? The issues that will make us a better society always get pushed to the next administration, the next Congress. Yet they spend 50 years in these positions saying, we'll fight for you. Who went to their safe space on Wednesday? Who cowered behind chairs? The ones fighting for you. Think about this. They say you have to wear a mask, keep businesses at half capacity, keep surfaces clean from the virus. But did they sanitize the Capitol after the super spreader riot? No. It was too important a return for their grandstanding. The media even posted a photo op of New Jersey Representative Andy Kim cleaning up the mess without gloves. But don't worry, he wore his mask. It's an illusion. It's an illusion to keep us divided. Don't fall for it. Even if it makes your blood boil, take a while to process it and be prepared. 2021 has just begun. All right, I had some thoughts I wanted to write down and I wanted to deliver at the opening of this podcast. It's Monday, January 11th, episode 72. Thank you for downloading this episode. Man, got a lot of thoughts running through my head, got a lot of feelings running through my body, as I'm sure you do as well. We're all Americans, man. And we're letting it slip away, I feel. So what do? Do you stand up? Do you fight? Politically? I think that's important to emphasize nowadays. Hey, let's fight politically. Do you argue with these politicians? What do you do? I would start off by saying, try not to get into, if you're not banned on all these social media platforms. Look, Truman's Town Hall has already been shadow banned on Facebook, so we don't get a lot of folks over there. But every now and again, if something picks up speed and people share it, then it will take off, and there'll be a lot more people that it reaches out to. But if Facebook won't send it out to everybody, I'm not allowed to boost a post. I can't pay money to boost a post because I posted things that turned out to be fact checked by their fact checkers. But I don't necessarily trust their fact checkers either. Who do we trust? Do you trust Matt on Truman's Town Hall? Maybe not. It's hard to trust the news organizations because they're always taking a side, right? When I was a kid, you could turn on the news and it was as far as I was looking at it, it was basic. It wasn't really throwing out a narrative. Now it's all opinion. And it's 24 hours a day and it's 7 days a week. And now we have podcasting where you can choose who you want to listen to. And I thank you for listening to this podcast. I really do. You can listen to anything you want, and you chose to download this one. And I know that. And I appreciate it. So I believe it's my responsibility to shoot you straight. Try to look at both sides of a situation. Maybe I haven't done that in the past. I think I always try to look at both sides of the situation. But I think where we're going to go from here is we're going to look at both sides, okay, of a situation. We're going to try to weigh all the options and come at it for the people. I know for sure I've always rooted for the people of this country. I'm not a big fan of politicians. I'm not a big fan of the media. It's a strange world. I have a strange feeling that 2021 is not going to be as good as 2020 was for this country. And that's not saying because Biden's going to be in office, which is part of it. But it's Mitch McConnell, too. It's Lindsey Graham. It may even be Donald Trump if he finds a way to come back. It's Republicans, it's Democrats, it's the media, it's us allowing ourselves to get upset over these stories and lose family and friendships instead of helping people and doing the right things. The things that push our society forward. The things that elevate all of us. And no, I'm not talking about communism. I'm still a red-blooded American. I believe in the First Amendment. I still believe in the Bill of Rights. I believe in our Constitution. I believe that America can bounce back from all of this and bounce back better. That's the fabric of this country. Our spirit as Americans is designed for that. We deal with adversity better than any other country in the world. This is the greatest country on earth. That's one of the things. Look, I'm in the past on these podcasts, I told you I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but that was the biggest thing that angered me about that dude was the "Make America Great Again" slogan. America's always been great, bud. And to anyone who thinks it's not, look around you. There's a lot of great people out here. Listen, evil exists. Evil exists everywhere. Evil exists at churches. Evil exists in schools. Evil exists in government. Evil exists in the media. Evil exists next door. There's evil in this world. That's why we watch over our kids like hawks these days, because things are getting worse. But if we continue to allow ourselves to be divided, then we're not going to be able to come together to make sure that our kids are safe and that our kids grow up in a world that we want them to grow up into. You don't want your kids to grow up in chaos and rebellion, anarchy. I was not doing this podcast when all the things happened this summer. I was not doing the podcast when Breonna Taylor got shot or George Floyd got his neck kneeled on. I know we can debate those. There's always two sides to a story, and that is so important to remember. I've studied the history of this country. I wouldn't say I'm an expert. I would say I'm a student of history. I know the evil things that have happened throughout this country, and I don't agree with it, but there's been a lot of good. And we've taught the world a great lesson, that our republic is able to bounce back. We're able to fight through adversity. And when we come together, we're stronger than any other country. When I watched Wednesday, actually I was listening because we did a podcast, and I talked about different ways, like, hey, Pence could do this or do that, but I don't really think he's going to do that or this. Right? We talked about that on other podcasts. I think I titled it "The Great Objection." But when I was listening to it and then I heard the disruption, and then I had somebody call me like, hey, my uncle just called me and said that they're scaling the walls of the Capitol. I'm like, what? What? You've got to be kidding me. The Capitol building was a target on 9/11. Wasn't it? We don't do that in this country. You don't do that and call yourself a patriot. At least in my opinion, you don't. I would say a majority of us know that. There was no organization to it. There's a lot of things going to come out. And I think you all, I said on the last podcast, we're going to let what happened this week marinate a little bit, because I wanted to go through this weekend. I wanted to think about it. I wanted to talk to people. I've called people up. Hey, what do you think about all this? What do you think we're going to do? What do we need to do? A majority of the opinion was, confusion. And you know what? You just got to take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Well, that's true. But we also have to find common ground. And we have to join together somehow, some way. We have to not let these politicians divide us. And anything that they try to do to create a division for a while is going to be on them. The impeachment is going to be on them. If you think Trump needs to resign, that's going to be on him. I kind of think he does need to resign and walk out like Nixon did. Yeah, he won't save his legacy. But what's the best, a true leader does what's best for the country. What would be best for the country is if he said, no, we're not going to go put this country through another impeachment. I'm going to walk out, but I'm going to still walk. He could still say, I'm going to walk out still telling you this. I'm going to resign for the betterment of this country, but I'm going to resign and tell you that I still think there was irregularities in the election, or whatever he wants to say to walk out on. But then the media could say, okay, yep, but he's out, so he's gone. He's already gone from all the other platforms. right? I know that's different than being the president, but still, that's a thought I have. It may change. I don't know. And I know there's a lot of his supporters saying, you're an idiot, Matt. He should not resign. He should stand his ground and make them impeach him. Well, what's the best for the country right now? Well, Matt, that'll let the Democrats think they won. Oh, well. The power shifts quite a bit in this country, and it will continue to shift. Someone has to be the bigger person in here. Hopefully the Democrats back up and say, you know what, we're just going to let him finish it out. We'll keep it quiet, and we'll understand that, hey, don't do any stupid crap. Maybe get an agreement with Pence. Hey, if he tries to do something, then invoke the 25th. I don't know. There's only a few days left. What would be really good for the country is if the politicians shut their damn mouth, let the transition happen, and move on. I'll tell you what isn't good for the country is a lot of people that had worked with President Trump telling everybody to, don't worry, he's still going to be the president. Don't worry. No, he's not. I'm always one who enjoys the rule of law. So when people were mad that he was going to court and trying to look into this irregular votes and all this stuff, hey, let the process work. That's my idea of it. It's part of the government. So on the other hand, you got to say, well, impeachment is part of the process as well. Let it work out. I don't know. Email me your ideas, guys. I'd love to hear them. TruePodcast@gmail.com. TruePodcast@gmail.com. I'll share them on here. Maybe you got kicked off Twitter and you need a place to share them. We'll talk about it here. Because I think like a lot of you, I'm a little confused. I just want to see peace, man. I'm a bit of a hippie that way. I went to war. That stuff's no fun, man. I thought Oliver Stone's Platoon was cool when I was a kid. Full Metal Jacket. When we invaded Iraq and I could watch it on TV all day, every day. Man, that's cool. I'm going to go defend my country. I don't know, I could tell you stories. War is not fun. And I worry about that too. North Korea's already popping their head out of their little hole that they were put in. Now, I may talk a lot of trash about Trump and not be a huge fan of him, but like all presidents, I root for our president. I do not wish any president bad, because if our president does a bad job, guess who that affects? That affects us. The politicians will tell you, well, if they're doing bad, we need to get us in. No, they're just looking for power, man. They're looking for power and money. That's my opinion. Your power. The power that the citizens give to the government. We've allowed our government to get way too big. Our government is so big. That's why I said, listen, you may not agree with me, but I'm still pro-Constitution, pro-Bill of Rights, and limited government. So I guess I'm kind of a libertarian. I claimed that for a while, and then I was like, some of these libertarians kind of angered me there too, so I'm an independent, and I'll probably be an independent for the rest of my life. And if these two Republican and Democrats keep going the way they are, I will never vote for a Republican or a Democrat again. They have the power, right? We've given it over to them, and they've taken more over the years. So now it's their responsibility to bring this country together, or utilize their power to help bring this country together, and we have to be on board with that. If they can divide us, they can certainly unite us. And if they don't do that, then it's going to be our job to do that, to unite. And then convince folks who are like-minded, who want a united country, to run for office and take over these politicians who all they want to do is go into politics and get rich, write books and give speeches, or work with foreign governments and earn money. So, I guess we'll call this podcast What Now? I don't know what else to call it. And in the future, I'm going to look for folks to come on here, and we'll probably do some podcasts where we're not even talking about politics. We may talk to some pastors. We may talk to some people in the healthcare industry, survival industry. I don't know. We'll talk about some other things here on Truman's Town Hall coming up, because you might need an outlet for that. You might need somewhere to go to get away from politics. But this show's built on that. We still need to talk about it sometimes. Anywho, what now? What are you going to do? Do you want to be divided? Or do you want peace in our time? I want peace. I'm not saying I'm perfect and I'm always going to do the right thing. But I'm going to try hard to do the right thing, and I'm going to try hard to be good. Maybe I haven't been in the past. I don't know. But I'm going to keep trying. Now, will you try with me? Will you? John Adams, second president of the United States. He said our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. Some may not agree with that. Or maybe they'll agree with half of that, because religion's so religion sometimes. It is what it is. He said that to the officers of the 1st Brigade of the 3rd Division of the Militia of Massachusetts, 1798. But I am a follower of Christ, so I'm going to end with this. St. John 15:12. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. This is my commandment, that I love one another as I have loved you. That's Jesus saying that to us. If you follow Jesus, that's his commandment. Now, Matthew 5:44, but I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and he sends rain on the just and the unjust. There's a lot of stuff in the Bible. It's a big book. And there's a ton of people out there a lot better versed in it than I. But I wanted to read those to this podcast, because it's time we start loving our enemies, loving one another, loving our neighbor as we were commanded, praying for each other, and doing the right thing. Don't get caught up in a win, all right? There may be some folks out there who are like, yes, Biden's about to take office, the Republicans are down, but you know what? You ever watch a football game where that football player's running for the end zone, he gets to the 5-yard line, and then he tries to walk to be cool, and then boom, he gets tackled? Because he gloated. He thought he was already at the finish line. Don't gloat. Let's work as a team. Let's work as a team, y'all. That's all I got for you today. We'll be back Friday. Hopefully this week's a heck of a lot better. I love y'all. And I'm going to pray for you. And I hope that you pray for me. And I hope that you pray for this country. Talk to you later.